All right, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, dokie. Is everybody here? Everybody ready? I can go ahead and go over it again. I am Jamal, aka Sannin Super, aka Mr. Sexbox, aka Super. Um, and tonight, this evening, we will be, I will be presenting a quick tutorial about my method of finding cheap contracts. And this is brought to you by Teach.trade. I like throwing that part. So just give me a one, or just, I'm not sure how the chat is in here, but I just want to make sure that you can see the screen, the proper screen here. Okay, I pulled it up. All right, cool, 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 cool. And so the first slide, as I was explaining, the tools that you will need in order to properly, successfully attain this method is that you will need the Thinkorswim platform, trading platform, where we will run the scanner, and then you will need just a quick web browser to pull up the link to get to the scanners. And then I was also mentioning that you might also need a word processor or something that you can input some text into, as well as if you wanted to cross-reference this stuff with your radars, the auto strat radars and indicators. You will also need access to those too. Once you get this beautiful information, you can use those to cross-reference it with. And so going into the first slide, it was telling you a little bit about the scanners. And like I was saying, we'll run these from out of Thinkorswim, the Thinkorswim platform. And overall, you'll see one scanner for put options and then the other scanner for call options. So there's, excuse me, two different scanners, one for puts and one for calls. And generally, what these stocks will consist of is it'll find you options that are a maximum of 5% or less out of the money. So they're less than five. They should be less than 5% away from the strike price. They're all, or they all will be priced under $1, and they all will have an ADR of at least greater than two, or greater than two. So all of their ADRs are greater than two. They're all under $1, and they're all going to be no more than 5% away from out of the money. And so the first thing we would do in order to get access to these is actually click on one of the links. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to do it with the import the put options, because the exact same procedure is true for the call options. So you do basically the same thing for the call options as you would do for the put options. And really what I'll do is I'll do the call option because we had a bullish day today. So there might be more results on the call side than the put side because today was very callish or bullish. So first thing you want to do is click on the link here in the PowerPoint, or somehow get access to that link. Excuse me. Let me go back. So you want to click on this link here, and that should open it up like it just did into your web browser of choice. And so in order to continue the process, you want to scroll down to where it says open manually here, and you want to click this green plus sign next to that. And so once you click that, you'll get another link here where it says click to copy, and you just want to click this green link here, and that will copy it to your clipboard on your computer. So we're clicking open to open manually. You click the plus there, then you click the green link where it says click to copy. So you click that, and now you bring up your TOS Thinkorswim platform, and this is how my Thinkorswim looks. And so what we will be looking for is on the top right corner here where it says setup, and there's like a little gear next to it. You're going to click that, and then it'll bring down a drop down box. And so the second option in this drop down box says open shared items. So you want to click that. Once we click that, it'll bring up another box, And then in this box, it basically tells you what to do right here. It says, enter the shared item URL in the box below using Control V to paste. And so what we will do is click on the highlighted box there, and you just press Control V to paste that link, the green link from the web browser page. If you're on an Apple, I believe it will be like the Apple sign and V to paste. You should know how to do it. I don't have an Apple, so but I believe that is the correct way to paste on an Apple product. So once you have that information in the bar, you just click preview here, and then it'll give you a preview of what you're loading in or importing into your system. And then once you see that that's right and correct, you want to go down and to where it says import, and voila, you now have imported the scanner into your TOS. So this is the scanner actually right here. It'll automatically come up and it'll be there in your TOS. And so like I said, the PowerPoint will actually, walk you through. There's a video in this next slide where you'll actually be hearing me talk, and basically
So now
doing the same thing that I just was talking about. And so once you have that in your TOS, well, the question is, how do I access it? Even though it just popped up there, I want you to be able to access it without having to go through that whole process over and over and over again. So if you just wanted to access it directly from your TOS, first and foremost, let me just reset, because it looks like I already have some specifications in here. And so in order to reset, you look over here right underneath on demand. There's I guess what they call a hamburger button. And the first one there's three of them, but the first one is the one that we're looking at, where if you hover over it, it will say show actions options. Show actions menu is what it says. So you click that and you just press reset, go yes, and that'll basically clear out all of the information. But as you can see, there's kind of some filters that have already been defaulted into there. And what I like to do is clear those out too by just coming over to the right and Xing those out right here, just so we have a complete and clear platform in order to get our scanner onto. So now, in order to bring that scan up, it's should be labeled in alphabetically in my whole list of scanners. And in order to see that, we're going to go to the second hamburger icon underneath on demand. So this is the first one, and then we have the second one where it says show scan query menu. So we're going to click on that. You're going to get a drop box, and then we're going to click on the second option from the drop box. And now here you can see that I have a bunch of scanners that are labeled alphabetically. And so what we'll be looking for is the S, because I believe that started with an S. So we'll look for the S's, look in the S's. And we'll scroll down until we see it here. I want to pause 1 second. Let me see. We have a question from Phil. Phil, do you have a question?
Phil, you've been brought on stage if you want to speak. Oh, you say you hit the wrong button. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, so doing that, now I've now loaded up the Sannin call options. And so before I proceed, I just want to go through what this actually, what you're looking at. So like I was saying, the stocks will be between $5 and $341. That's what this filter is telling you. We have some filters that are filtering the Greeks, making sure the Greeks are to our favor. We're making sure that the contracts have at least 100 open interests. The implied volatility here is no more than 180%. And here you can adjust the price of the last contract. So this is why none of them are over $1. And then you have days to expiration. We're going to be looking at contracts that have at least 1 day to 45 days of expiration. And then out of the money, this is where you get the 5%. So the maximum that it can be out of the money is 5%. And then here, the last study here, or the last filter here, is telling you about the ATR, which will be greater than 2, and that is set to the day. So it will have a daily ATR, which equals ADR of greater, no, all will be greater than 2. And so one thing that I do want to stress here also is that you want to make sure, I guess, initially that you're showing the maximum that you can allow of the contracts here. I know the PowerPoint, I set it to 500, but after looking, the data was more than 500, so I had to go back and set it to something higher so that I could make sure that I was seeing all of the beautiful information that the scanner is about to give me. So we can go ahead and set it to the maximum level there. And what this will do is it will show me the stocks as well as the options according to that qualify for all of these specifications. So in order to run it now, we're just going to go click over here where it says scan, the green scan button, and wait for our results. Click yes here. It's just telling you that you have a lot of information that you're about to ask for. You just click yes. And so there you have it there. 1,015 options. And so if you want to get the screen a little bit bigger so that you can see all of these, you can go under here where you have the name of your scan, and you just click this box, the arrow there, to hide that part, and now you have more access and more screen time for your screen size for your actual options. And so what I also like to do is alphabetize this, and so once I do that, it will show me the name of the stock and then the options that apply to that stocks. So right here we have Apple, and then we have all of the calls that Apple that qualify via the scan specifications. You got ABBV, and then all of ABB's options. You got Airbnb and all of Airbnb's options. You got Abbott and all of its options, etc., etc., etc. And so that's in alphabetical order with all of those options. And so that's basically how you would run the scanner and get the list of options. Like that. Now, say for instance, you wanted to just have a list of the the options that qualify. So sometimes I like to just go here where it says stocks and options. That's why it's showing us the stocks as well as the options. And you can filter out so where it's just showing you the stocks. The link for the scanners will be posted in the PowerPoint. That's already been posted within the announcement, and I'll also drop them in the tips and tricks. So again, if we just wanted to see the stocks, you go to that option there and you click the stocks. So once we run this scan again, it'll only show us the stocks here. And so now we have a list of 300 stocks that qualify for cheap calls underneath $1 with an ADR greater than 2, no more than 5% out of the money, and they should have good Greeks also. So this is a list of 300 stocks. Now, for instance, I do not want to sit here and go through 300 stocks to see, what the best setups are on these things. So another thing that you can do, which is a more advanced feature, is that you can save this as a watch list and then kind of run another scan on top of this. And so, for an example, if you want to save this as a watch list, you come over here where it's actually to the right of where it's showing you the amount of information that you have. There's another hamburger icon and it says show actions menu. We click that and then it'll have the first selection here. The first option is to save as a watch list. So you can go ahead and input the name of whatever you want to call this watch list. I'll call it 11. Tomorrow's the 15th, 2023. Calls watch list. And so now that has been saved as a watch list. And then, for example, I have all kinds of indicators and stuff on my watch list where I can see stuff. I can pull that watch list up and it's all alphabetized, in alphabetical order. So I'm looking at the top here where the numbers would be to see where that is that I saved it. Once I find that, I scroll over and there it is right there. And so I can pull that up also in my watch list with this kind of information as far as the strat is telling me what is an FTC. And I can see Airbnb here is an FTC from the hour to the quarter, so maybe that'll be something that I'm looking at. I can see that Affirm is the same way. AMT is the same way. Amazon just needs the hour. So I can see all of that information, but it's still so much that at a certain point I can't see all of the qualifying information that these things may or may not have. And so another thing that I can do is I can load up another scanner. Say for instance I'm looking for actionable signals. I can go reset, clear out the information again, and I can run another scanner on that specific watch list to further filter out the data, or filter out the winners from the losers, or the winners from the MVPs from the list. And so again, we come to our second option here where it says show scan queries. And what I'm going to do is run another scanner that I have that looks for actionable signals, for example. So it's looking for an inside candle, a shooter, or a hammer on the day. And then what I want to do now is scan in this selection, this tab here. I'm going to select that and look for the watch list that I just created, which is underneath the personal numbers, and you find it right there. And so now it's going to run this scan, but specifically on that 300 list of stocks that we collected, and hopefully give us more filtered and more qualified players to potentially play. So now out of that 300 potential players to play for our team, we now have 15 that qualify because they have actionable signals. At least one of these actionable signals on the day. If you want this, I can see if I can give you access to that also, but that's just something that I created myself via the scanners. And so we have Bill, we have Google, we have Ali Bargain Outlets, we have Pepsi, we have Zom, we have NVO, and I'm just highlighting the ones that stick out to me that I actually know, at least in passing. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we have 6 stocks that we can zone in and focus on, and instead of that 300 stocks. And so now the final step would be just kind of, because we only have six, this is where the text file comes into play, where you can just use that to notate the six stocks. And so like I was saying, you can use any type of word browser. You can use Notepad. You can use Google Documents. No. So what this is doing is it's saying it's a conditional group. And so what this specifically is doing is it's scanning for any one of these. So if any of those stocks has any one of these, it doesn't have to be all three in order for it to qualify. It has to be any one of them. And you can specify that with the add conditional groups here next to the second hamburger. To the left of that, add conditional groups, and it'll give you the option of all of the following. So like with our original scanner, it had to have all of those following specifications. It had to have the ADR, it had to have the deltas, it had to have the out of the money no more than 5%. Those were mandatory. We're here selecting any of the following instead of all of the following. So we're selecting here any of the following. So it can have any one of these three. Whereas with the original scanner, the scanner that got us this information, it had to have all of the following, if that makes sense. And so the last step was importing that into a just into some sort of text document. And I'm just going to use Notepad. And so you could just add those into Notepad just so you can have it quickly to reference instead of flipping back and forth from the TOS into your trading view or anything like that. And so it's build Google MBO and ZOM. And so now I can create a watch list in my trading platform that consists of these tickers. And I'll just go ahead and quickly do that. You got Bill, you got Google, you got NDO, you got Ollie, you got Pepsi, and you got ZOM. And so now once I have those over here, I can, chart to my heart's delight. So here we have Bill. It doesn't have a setup detected, so we might have to work on that. But you can see it's kind of a shooter-like action there on Bill. On Google, we have a shooter. MBO, we've got a hammer, and it's also inside. Ollie, got an inside candle. Pepsi, inside candle. ZOM, inside candle too. And so now once I have that, I could do all the charting and whatnot over here and find, either filter it out even more. Okay, maybe I just want to play the inside candle. So, then I'll just have those three that I just was talking about. So that is in general how you can go about finding those cheap contracts. Now say you kind of, just one last thing to round it out, and this is kind of even more advanced. If you have I guess like a database application, so for example like an Excel, or you can also use Google Documents. Say you did want to kind of look at all of that information that we originally pulled up in the original 300. You could look at that, and if you're familiar with Excel, you can use that in order to filter out different things. So what I would go ahead and do is just quickly load the scanner back up, and then kind of show you that, and then I can take questions or we can end everything. But I think that is pretty much it. So just showing you just another option of how to further qualify this information and further use this information to your delight. So this is our original scan, and like I said, now all of the following has to be true, whereas with the other scan it was any of the following. All of these things have to be absolute in order for it to give us results. And so pulling back up those results, we have this here, and then we're just going to go and show we'll keep it like this. And so what you can also do is you can export this to a Excel document. And so what we do is we click on the first hamburger here underneath on demand and scroll all the way down to where it says export. And the best way that I found to do this is to actually not export it to Microsoft Excel, but to export it to a file. Specifically, if you're using Microsoft Excel, you want to export it to a file. It'll bring up a little fancy window right here where you can name the information that you're exporting. I'm just going to name it call options for right now, in the Sannin stocks, this folder here. Then I'm going to load up my Excel. And look for where I just saved that as. I'm having problems finding it. Sannin stock solutions, exports. Have to click all files for some reason, but here it is right here, the first one. And so we're going to load this up. I think a better option would have been going into the and so it comes back like this, and so that was the wrong way to do it. So what you want to do is first just open up a new file, and that'll just give you a blank worksheet. And then you come to where it says data, and you want to get the data from a file, and I believe it's the CVX file, if I'm not mistaken. And then we'll select on what I just saved it as, call options. And you bring it up, you load it up, you press load, and it should come up in this nice looking light greenish spreadsheet where you can further kind of do filters on it and whatnot. You can, if you know how to use Excel, you can use these filters to filter out things if you wanted a specific amount of days. And the bad thing is that it's still not loading up all of the data. But I just wanted to give you, kind of quick rundown of how you can see the stuff outside of TOS. So the most important thing is the price, which is here, this column here, and then the actual contract name and description, which is here. But in a later date, we can actually go through and kind of go more in depth with how to use this with Excel. I don't want to, put too much on you, but just showing you the options of how you can get your own data and analyze it to your benefit. But other than that, I believe that was the end of the actual presentation.
So,
How to run the
okey-dokey.
scanner, additional tips and tricks. This is how you find me on social media, Sofa King Super. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and I think that's it. But other than that, I will release the stage. If you have any questions on what I just presented, you can willing to ask them now. And like I said, the PowerPoint presentation is already available for download via the announcements. And what I'll do is also copy and paste that into the tips and tricks with the links to the 2 scanners as well as the actionable signal scanner, if I can also do that too. No problem, no problem. I just hope everything was, helpful and it, adds to your utility belt. Okay, dokie. If there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and try to stop the recording.